circumstances require that we take some global action.
Ci vuole un'azione globale.
Particularly for climate change. I count on the Catholic Church, under your leadership, under your spiritual guidance, to continue to work closely with the United Nations to promote a life of dignity for all. Your Holiness, it is my great honor once again to invite you to grace us with your presence at the United Nations headquarters in New York at your edition of papal visits, and be an opportunity for you to speak of your vision for our common future.
What about the United Nations? It has had strong ties with the papacy from its embryonic beginnings, where its current Secretary General looks to it to resolve world peace. And the President of the United Nations General Assembly, Vuk Jeremic, strengthens closer ties also with the papacy. Angelina Jolie is one of the most famous women on earth. She is the United Nations Goodwill Ambassador and Special Envoy to the High Commissioner, who strengthens strong ties with the United Nations and the papacy. Eartha Cousin is the 14th Executive Director of the United Nations World Food Programme, who was ranked as number 45 on the Forbes magazine list of the world's 100 most influential people, also strengthens ties with the papacy. Jose Graziano da Silva is the Director General of the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, greets Pope Francis I at his inauguration ceremony. Guy Ryder is the 10th General of the United Nations International Labour Organization, also strengthens stronger ties with the papacy with his meeting with Pope Francis I. Irina Boskova, Director General of the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, better known as UNESCO, is another governing body of the UN that strengthens ties. And the British-Iranian Jewish philanthropist Nasser David Khalili, a UNESCO Goodwill Ambassador, has a picture of himself and the Pope in the background. But there is another governing body within the papacy that has strong ties with the UN. Sir or Friar Matthew Festing holds the rank of a colonel in the British Territorial Army, but he is the 79th Prince and Grand Master of the Sovereign Military Order of Malta, better known as the Knights of Malta, who are usually represented as a charitable organization. It is like a papacy within the papacy. Just as the Pope has diplomatic relations with sovereign states, the Grand Master Matthew Festing also has representatives with sovereign states. For the Catholic publications informs us that the Knights of Malta Grand Master is internationally recognized as a head of state, and in Catholic protocol, he is the Church's highest ranking layman with the rank of a cardinal or prince of the Holy Roman Empire.
Yeah, so I want to talk about the United Nations, commonly referred to as the UN, because it's actually one of the organizations that's going to be used and is being used to bring about a new world order. One of the fascinating things about the UN is that their logo has a Roman wreath, and like I've said many times, you know, the Catholic Church is the one that's ruling this world right now. Some may say, don't say it's the Catholic Church. You know, okay, I'll refer to it as the papacy or the Vatican. You know, the fourth kingdom upon this earth. You know, so remember we had Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, and then pagan Rome. But pagan Rome then changed and became the Catholic Church or Papal Rome. So yeah, they have a Roman wreath on their logo, and it's basically like a clue. Remember that it's been said that signs and symbols rule the world, and I think it was Confucius who said that. So it's almost like a language basically when they're communicating between each other. So the Roman wreath on the UN logo shows that it's actually you know, the Roman Catholic Church or the papacy that's ruling the world. and also showing who founded the UN. Something else as well is that if you look closely at the logo of the United Nations, as well as that of the World Health Organization in the background, there's a flat Earth map. So I think that's also a sign, a signal to the insiders that actually the Earth is flat. It's not a globe. I mean, it's not. It doesn't make sense to believe that we live on a spinning globe Earth, because you can't bend water, and it's nonsensical to believe that those in Australia walk upside down. I don't believe that, and I certainly don't believe that they can bend water the way we are shown on the spinning globe Earth. So they're showing us right there in their logo that we live on a flat Earth, or flattish Earth, since we've got mountains and valleys. But anyway, moving on, the UN was established in 1945 after the end of the Second World War. Prior to the formation of the UN, an attempt had been made to form a similar organization called the League of Nations. That organization had failed because the US refused to join after Senator Henry Cabot Lodge and some Republicans exposed it as a plot to bring about a new world order. So the first attempt to set up such an organization similar to the UN failed because the UN did not take part. So what they did now is that they basically fomented World War II, and after World War II, they made sure that not the League of Nations, sorry, the United Nations, the headquarters for the United Nations was in America, so that the Americans wouldn't refuse to be part of it. So at the front of the role of creating the League of Nations was President Woodrow Wilson, who was a puppet basically of the bankers and the Jesuits. And I've referred to them here as neocons, who had also signed. Woodrow Wilson also signed the law that created the so-called Federal Reserve Bank, which is a privately owned central bank owned by the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Morgans, and the Warburg families. Rather than being an organization, I'm talking about the UN. Rather than being an organization set up to maintain peace and prevent another war, the UN is not involved in maintaining peace, but about bringing about a new world order. The UN has failed to prevent numerous wars that have taken place after World War II. So since World War II, we've not had another world war, but the fact is we've had many wars. Even right now, as I'm speaking, we've got the genocide that's happening in Palestine, and also the persecution of Palestinians in the West Bank. We've got Christians who are being persecuted in Syria. We've got a war in Sudan, a war in the Democratic Republic of Congo. What else? The war in Ukraine and Russia. There's talk of a ceasefire maybe being signed between the two countries, but so far I don't think that's actually taken place. It was also got the war in Burma or Myanmar, which has been going on for years and is hardly reported on. So there have been many wars since World War II, but the UN has not stopped them. And we've also had genocide as well in Rwanda. Some of these wars, just to mention a few others that have taken place after World War II, have been the war in Vietnam, Korea, Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, Syria, Serbia, etc. Edmund Paris, in his book The Secret History of the Jesuits, stated that the Roman Catholic Church started the 2 world wars. So with knowledge of this fact, it becomes plain to see that the UN is a creation of the Jesuit order. There's a woman called Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, who was a Russian occultist and theosophist and a mystic, who wrote some books. One of them called Isis Unveiled, and another The Secret Doctrine, and many other books. Blavatsky was a co-founder of the Theosophical Society, which was joined by another woman called Alice A. Bailey. Now, if you just bear with me, it'll become clear why I'm talking about these 2 women, because they do have some involvement with the UN. So Alice A. Bailey, I was saying, joined the Theosophical Society in 1917. Bailey became a disciple of Blavatsky but Bailey was later dismissed from the organization by another woman called Annie Besant. In 1919, Bailey was allegedly contacted by a Tibetan master of wisdom, in other words, a demon, named Dwal Ku. Under the direction of this demon, Bailey wrote the plan for the New World Order.
He wrote the 10 rules for the one world government which still exists at the United Nations today. And they are: take God and prayer out of education. Number 2, reduce parental authority over children. Number 3, destroy the traditional Christian family structure. Number 4, if sex is free, make abortion easy and legal. 5, make divorce easy and legal, free people of the concept of traditional marriage. 6, make homosexuality the alternative lifestyle. 7, debase art, make it run mad. 8, use media to promote and change mindset. 9, create an interfaith movement without God. And 10, get governments to make all these laws and get the churches to endorse them. Let's just say the one thing not welcome at the United Nations is God.